You honestly have nothing to lose by setting your sights on what you want to go for. I really think that COVID and working online really prepared us for this new way of working that truly does not limit anything that you want to do. So, as far as your mind can envision is as far as you can go. If it's your niche or your skill set or your area of expertise, then go for it. Reach out to people who you think can support that extension of your service or your product and go for it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Commerce, Coffee, and Community Podcast, Entrepreneurs Edition. Today, I'm joined by Alyson Gourley-Cramer of Monogram Communications. How's it going today, Alyson?
It's great, thank you.
It's great to hear. Why don't you start off the show today by just telling us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and what made you decide to start a business here in Prince George?
Great, thanks. I was born in Montreal and raised in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, so I'm a true East Coaster. But I ended out west as a tree planter. So I came out here in my university undergrad years and joined some friends out west and had a great time. Had family out here, and then I did my post-grad education at UVic and Royal Roads.
Nice.
So that really convinced me that the West was a great place for me to stay, and I fell in love and started a family here. So that's what really helped me settle in Prince George. Prince George is just a terrific place to raise a family, and we've had so much great opportunities here, myself career-wise and just from a family or affordability, and it gives us the opportunity to travel and do all the things that we love. So really, my work really isn't limited by geography or where I live per se. So it was just a fantastic opportunity for me to start my business here. And during the pandemic, that's really when I started Monogram, just a few months before it hit.
Right.
That's where I was. I found myself online, and it really didn't limit Monogram's growth or any of the opportunities that came our way.
Absolutely, yeah. So you started out east, navigated your way here, and set up Monogram. But what kind of motivated you to start your business here, and what would you say the mission behind Monogram is?
Sure. So Monogram, and the name really comes from this idea of creating tailor-made solutions to communications issues within businesses. And we really work with organizations that are smaller all the way to big corporate entities like BC Housing. And so really the mission is to listen, hear, be curious, and strategically come up with ideas and ways that we can solve problems and support people, whether that's through an internal communications lens, externally. We deal with a lot of crisis and issues management work,
Right.
Brand and web, which we love because it's so fun and creative, and then change management work or big campaigns at the municipal level. So what motivated me to start Monogram was really this idea that anything was possible wherever I was. And I know that sounds like really big picture thinking, but I actually remember finding myself in a situation where I was attending a conference, and I distinctly remember seeing people in public relations and corporate comms coming into these conferences in the north and being brought in from Calgary or Vancouver. And I really felt a sense of maybe even indignance that we have incredible communications professionals here in the north. And, I really felt like industry and large companies working here should really be working with people who have the relationships,
Right.
Know the region,
Yeah.
have government relations, media relations, Indigenous relations experience in the north. And I guess it really helped me build that confidence, knowing that we have those people here, and it was one of the reasons why I felt that we could do well here in the north and in BC and even across Canada.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And it's so true that communications being, when you're engaging with communications professionals, it's so important to get them where they live, right? Like where the communication strategy is going. And
I mean, I remember my first role in communications was with ICBC.
Yeah.
And so I was looking after communications for the north, and I was able to really provide insight into the unique region that we have. We have distances, we have geographic challenges. Just there's a lot about the north that people who aren't from here might not appreciate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, having worked on so many different projects through Monogram, because they just, there's so much variety there, right? Branding, marketing, strategy, all sorts of things. What has been some of your favorite pieces of work that you've had so far?
Yeah, this was a hard question to answer. I've been thinking about it a lot, and because there really have been so many really fun, very diverse projects. And it's funny, when I started, one of the pieces of advice that I got was you should really lean into a niche. But I felt really confident that my, goodness, almost 17, 18 years of experience in comms, right from the ground level all the way to the executive level, that we didn't want to limit where we could go. There's many different areas of communications.
Yeah.
And we really felt like we had expertise in a lot of them. So, I would say during COVID, supporting the Canadian Red Cross in a lot of their internal comms, that was really exciting. We had huge success launching a company-wide intranet with BC Housing, so that was really cool. We've learned so much from our Indigenous clients, so I feel really honored there to have had the opportunity to work with so many of those in the work that we've done. And we always love a great rebrand or a website launch because we're all really creative people, so it's really fun to see all of those exciting ideas come through for a new business.
It's very cool that you have like something different to work on every day, right? Like
it's true.
Something new. Good variety.
So much variety. Yeah, it's really, really fun.
That's awesome. So we've been showing some foodie love to Prince George this season. Great. And I have to ask you, what is your favorite place here in town to grab a bite to eat?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many great places here.
Yes.
I feel like if you're new to town, you maybe need a little tour guide to take you on a food tour. And this one was a hard one. I landed on Nancy O's.
Oh, okay.
I love Nancy O's. It's great for lunch. Amazing brunch.
And
I've
never tried
really?
it.
Oh my gosh, get there. And their steak frite is like my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah, I always have that on my birthday.
You heard it here. Check out Nancy O's as soon as you can. Now, we're going to get a bit into the entrepreneurial journey here, Alyson. And I want you to take us back to the very start of your journey as an entrepreneur. What were some of the first steps that you took in building Monogram and preparing the idea and concept for it?
Sure. This might be a less exciting answer than you might have expected, but honestly, it was very simple. I knew that I had really great experience, and I knew that could be the basis of a great company and a great communications, a great.
We can roll it. Yeah, nope, okay. That's totally okay.
Roll it back. Okay.
Roll it right back. All right, Alyson. So we're going to get into the entrepreneurial journey here. I would like you to take us back to the very start of Monogram Communications. And what were some of the first steps you took in that process to get started and get the business concept going?
Okay. I think really this might be a little less exciting an answer than you may have hoped for, but it was quite simple. Unlike some people who are launching products, I was really confident in the service that I knew I could provide based on my experience. And I felt that I could really support so many organizations in the work that they wanted to do. But of course, I speak with a lot of confidence now. I definitely had those days where I leaned into a lot of the encouragement that I got from colleagues and from a great network that I had. And I think those were my key first steps were really to prepare myself just by letting my network know that I was available to start working, and I was really excited if they were in need.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing, in doing a bit of research for this, I quite noticed just how like broad the skill set of your team is, and how diverse your team is from, not just living in Prince George, but living sort of all over the country. So in terms of attracting a talented team of individuals to work with when you're growing a business, how did you go about bringing some of these individuals on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we are so fortunate to have team members from Toronto all the way west, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer, you name it, all throughout BC. And I think for me, I'm really attracted to people whose work I admire. And again, I've just had such great experience working with so many cool people over my years that I always stay in touch with them. I look out for people who I know are really stars, and I have no problem reaching out to them, seeing how they're doing, seeing whether they're interested in working together. And then I also lean on a lot of recommendations because I know that, like people attract like attracts like. And yeah, I think that's really where all of these incredible people have come from. And, their experience really matches the diversity of the work that we have.
Right.
So the team has been built very strategically.
Yeah.
And then we have seniors on the team who also support a junior team, which works really, really well for our company because then the juniors are going to grow in their career and experiences as
Right.
well. Yeah.
Very cool. That's such a wonderful pairing to have that sort of senior mentorship as well.
It's really important. Yeah.
Very cool. So behind every entrepreneur, it seems there's a driving force, whether that's, family or a mentor. So I got to ask, who's been your biggest influence throughout your whole journey so far?
Well, I nailed it down to, or I limited down to 3.
Okay. Yeah.
For
We'll take 3.
reasons. Yeah. I have a really great mentor who is one of the top public relations theorists and practitioners and educators in Canada, and he works out of McMaster University.
Okay.
Dr. Terry Flynn. So I'm fortunate that he's sort of available to me and to lots of other people in the Canadian Public Relations Society, which is a group that I'm a part of. There's a woman named Katie Dunsmuir, and she owns Talk Shop Media out of Vancouver.
Okay.
She's phenomenal. I've always admired her, and I did a mentorship program where they asked me who I'd like to work with, and even though she wasn't on the list, I reached out to her, and she decided to work with me. She was such an inspiration to me when I first started. And then a local entrepreneur, Will Cattle. He is just an incredible inspiration because his company has grown globally, and he chooses to live here when, he could live anywhere in the world, but he loves it here. He loves the lifestyle. And so I've always been inspired by his limitless potential.
That's wonderful. To have such a broad sort of group of people behind you. That's what every good entrepreneur needs, right?
It certainly helped. Yeah.
So throughout the journey, there's going to be a lot of good moments, a lot of bad moments. I'll get you to take us through the hardest moment you've had so far as an entrepreneur. We'll start with the bad.
Okay, let's do that. I think, honestly, I was thinking about it today, and I think it was the first RFP that I ever applied for.
Yep.
And anyone who's applied for an RFP knows that they can be pretty big beasts. Yeah. I think I probably spent at least 30 hours on it. Just, heart and soul. It felt like my thesis for my master's degree. And of course I didn't get it, because how often do you ever get an RFP?
Right.
But yeah, it was a bit of a heartbreaker, and it challenged me to start thinking differently about how I reach out to people for continued work, and not to put all of your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. RFPs. Oh, don't even get me started. How about some of the good moments?
Oh, well, definitely, definitely the first the first time someone reached out to me and asked me,
Right.
was I available to work on their project? The first big contract that I ever signed, just, I don't know if you could ever surpass that. And then, and really, then after that, it was the first person I was ever able to hire. So,
Right. Yeah.
to be able to bring someone in full time to work on the same incredible projects, share that journey with them, and be able to offer them the security of working. I really didn't know if I'd ever do that. So it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's when it you go from being a sole proprietor to having your own staff. That's such a huge step.
Yeah.
Now we'll end this section off here with a bit of a reflective piece of advice. What's one piece of advice that you feel you wish you had at the start of your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, it's interesting. I actually sought out a lot of advice at the beginning of my journey. I'm a bit of a researcher, and I'm also fairly humble. I certainly don't think that I have all the answers. And even though I knew I was strong in my field of work, owning a business and putting yourself out there is completely different. So, I felt prepared and supported. But I think the best advice I ever got was just when people with great experience reassured me and said, "This is normal. This is what you should be feeling at this time. This is hard. This is okay." So no quotable quotes that I can pull, but things like, "I went through this too," or, "You should expect this. It's not abnormal." And those were the things that really helped me just stay the course and keep moving, and also know that I could be really vulnerable with those people and they'd stick around and continue to support me on the journey.
That's wonderful. We're going to jump into the advice section of the show here, where we get some insight from yourself on, as new entrepreneurs are developing and looking to start their businesses or change into from careers to going into business fully for themselves. It's a real challenge, right? Stepping out of a professional career and starting entrepreneurship is just such an immense thing for a lot of people to do. And as you've done this during your early days, back at the start of your journey, how were some ways that you were able to reassure yourself that this was the right decision? I'm getting out of a career space to go into business for myself. How do you kind of stay the course during that time?
Sure. Well, I surrounded myself with an incredible group of people. So, as I mentioned, I reached out to people who I already knew, but then I also sought out a few resources. Like there's an organization called WeBC, there's one called the Forum, and these are specifically for female entrepreneurs. So lots of support there, lots of resources, almost overwhelmingly so. So,
Right.
It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to balance being in the business and then working outside of the business and trying to support yourself while you're still working, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
And then also I have an incredible husband who really supports the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. I think my kids are pretty understanding, even though I try to balance being a mom and being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Having friends truly who know that some days I'll be just working all hours of the day and night, and I might miss things.
Yeah.
Especially those first few years, you have to ensure that the people around you are really supportive.
Yeah.
And are your cheerleaders. That's huge. And stepping outside of the security of being in an organization and then being on your own, it can be really intimidating, I think. But
Definitely.
yeah, it's different though when you have the opportunity to when you know that what you're doing is going to benefit and support and help others. I think that for me is the driving force. I love being able to support organizations and seeing the positive benefits we can make.
Definitely. So it's kind of all about having a bit of a support system and then knowing that there's resources out there as well to kind of help you through those difficult times. Hey?
Yeah, there are so many resources, like from financial to, networking events to, so many different types of advice. So don't be afraid to reach out for those because they will really exponentially help. Yeah, and you can't be an expert in everything. Get people who are great to help you.
Absolutely. Speaking of networking, networking is a really important thing for first-time entrepreneurs, but at the same time, it's also a very challenging endeavor, especially if your business before wasn't super communications heavy, right? You're not having to meet new people, but now you're in a role where meeting new people can be really important. So do you have any tips for entrepreneurs who are looking to build a base of professional contacts for the first time?
Sure. I think my advice first is that you're never not networking. You're always networking. And really think about your most immediate network. You've probably got some incredible people even within your family and your extended family.
Right.
But every job you've ever had, every volunteer position you've ever done, any barbecues you go to, those are really the places where you can be comfortable knowing those people already. Reach out to them, lean into them, and be curious. Share your story. Make sure you follow up with them. Stay in touch. I'm a big utilizer of LinkedIn all the time. Just because honestly, I'm curious to find out what people are up to. I love commenting on what they're doing. It's really genuine. And I think that, if you're true to who you are and you're curious and you want to develop linkages, people really respond to that. Yeah. So take your time. I'm a real extrovert, so I love people and I love just learning about them. You're not selling yourself if you just take your time and interact with people who you enjoy being around and share with people that you're looking to grow and they'll support you.
That's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned LinkedIn as a tool. It's so powerful to be able to, especially in our region too, if you're looking for a business or you're going into business in an area where we don't have a ton of those types of entrepreneurs in town, you can always search by industry, right? And you can reach out to new people fresh and share some ideas.
Yeah. And people really love to help.
Yeah,
they do.
Definitely. People underestimate it, right? You think just kind of sliding into someone's DMs on LinkedIn is a little odd, but more often than not, right?
Yeah, I'm really all about the cold call. If I think that someone looks really interesting or we have a shared interest or someone in common, and then I just feel like people are surprised and usually happy when you reach out, and always follow up. And then I like to follow up often with a card. So just a little thank you. It's really unexpected and people typically love it.
Makes you memorable. Hey? Yeah, absolutely. One point of contention for a lot of entrepreneurs, especially from rural communities, is they tend to box themselves into their region and say, you know what, I don't know if my product or service is good enough to go beyond town. And they feel a bit hesitant about going for larger contracts or RFPs. Bring that back up. So they really have some hesitancy when bidding outside of their geographical area. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs who feel this hesitancy, and how can they overcome that and participate on a more national level?
Sure. I would really say, honest to goodness, you honestly have nothing to lose by setting your sights on what you want to go for. I really think that COVID and working online really prepared us for this new way of working that truly does not limit anything that you want to do. So, as far as your mind can envision is as far as you can go. And if it's your niche or your skill set or your area of expertise, then go for it. Reach out to people who you think can support that extension of your service or your product, and go for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's such great advice because, it's so tough, right, to overcome that hesitancy. But if you can get support from your network, even all the better, right?
Yeah, I really feel like geography does not have to limit us anymore.
Yeah.
And I've always loved to prove people wrong. And, whenever somebody wants to box you in, it's really up to you if you're going to let those parameters define you. I think set your sight on where you want to go and go.
Absolutely, yeah. So you've been in business with Monogram since late 2019.
Yes.
And, we've been at it for a couple of years. You've grown an amazing team. You've taken on some great work. But I got to ask what the next 5 years is going to look like for you. Where would you like to see Monogram?
Well, yeah, I mean, it has been a really exciting time, and I see right now at this very moment in time, Monogram has this beautiful feeling of stability, which is so nice, I think, in the entrepreneurial journey. You can't get too comfortable there, I don't think. And so, yeah, we'd really like to continue to grow steadily.
Yeah.
And probably across Canada. We have a lot of, as I said, great work that's going, extending across the country all the way to Newfoundland, which is really cool. We just have a new project there. We probably want to grow some of our service areas. We're looking at doing some more training and coursework, which I think we have a lot of expertise there that we can share. And I'm really interested in consulting with leadership teams who have communications teams to really help them work with their teams a little bit better to, invite their comms teams in on large decisions, get them in earlier, and just help them appreciate what great work communications people can do within their organizations if they know, what to expect. Yeah, we've had over the last couple of years 4 paid internships, and we've mentored Indigenous communications professionals within some of the First Nations that we've worked with. So I would love to continue to extend that opportunity for younger comms professionals, and just keep working with people that we admire and projects that are exciting for us.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Alyson. If I could just get you to close out the show with one last piece of advice for young entrepreneurs looking to start their first business.
Okay, I would say my number one piece of wisdom is be bold and begin.